Welcome everybody to today's fireside chat. Something a little bit different to a panel where, instead of trying to have a debate between people and see different opinions, we're having an opportunity to dive a little bit deeper with one particular brand, okay? And really kind of get to, what it is that they're doing that makes them successful. Hopefully we can find some really valuable takeaways in there for you. And today, we're lucky to be joined by two really, really experienced leaders from the digital team at Woodie's. Without much further ado, please give a warm welcome to Pippa Casey and Amy McLaughlin. Okay then, guys. So, let's start with the easiest question you're going to get all day. Just a little introduction of who you are and what you do at Woodie's.
Great. 1, 2, testing. I'm a bit nervous about the mic because Amy and I were gutted. We thought we were going to get one of the Britney mics, and then we were told we were going to be one of the normal folk with the mic. So we're just kind of recovering from that now.
Yeah, we are slightly.
Or look, we're here.
We are.
We're still going to do the panel. So I'm Pippa Casey. I am the marketing and digital director in Woodie's. I've actually only been in the business a year now, so it's still all very new and exciting. And I have a really fun job. My role is to look at the end-to-end customer journey from all marketing and digital touchpoints. And I've been in retail about 12 years, so really passionate about the retail space and largely in pure plays or large omni-channel retailers. So that's a little bit about me.
And I'm Amy McLaughlin, so I'm head of digital at Woodie's. My role is responsible for driving the end-to-end omni-channel experience. And my ambition is to grow our sales, increase our business mix, and expand in our market share. And this is primarily done through refining the product roadmap, introducing new revenue channels for digital, as well as enhancing the overall customer experience. Like Pippa, I'm relatively new in the Woodie's team. I joined at the start of this year, so it's been a very busy year, but very exciting. It's a very ambitious team at Woodie's, so I'm very looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah. Now, I know we've got a lot of people in the audience from all over the UK, but I'm not going to assume that everybody knows who Woodie's are. So, Pippa, can you maybe just give us a little bit of background on the business?
Yeah, of course. So, Woodie's, we're an Irish retailer, actually. And we operate in the DIY home and garden space, so we're the largest in our market. We've 35 physical stores geographically spread throughout Ireland, and then obviously we have our e-commerce business as well. We have about 30,000 products, so a really broad catalogue. So, and actually that can move up at times of year like Christmas, where we have a really large range that comes in at that time of year. We are actually listed on the London Stock Exchange, so we're part of Grafton Group. We're very lucky. We have a very supportive board in the Grafton Group as well. So that's a quick snapshot of the Woodie's business.
Nice one. And, we've got you up here today because, yes, you're a market leader, but you're a market leader who's defending that position. You're seeing, great growth year on year, year after year. Maybe you can share some numbers just so everybody can, get a feel for what exactly is that you're achieving.
Yeah, of course. So these numbers will be publicly available. We've had a cracking start to the year, actually. We're up 10% year on year from Jan to April. And I think a lot of the work we've done in the last few years have contributed to that number. So we've had a lot of work on our range and availability across the business, so we're starting to see the tailwind benefit of that. Our e-commerce numbers are up considerably more than our overall business numbers as well. And look, if you know anything about the Irish, we're a hopeful nation, so we had some good weather in March and April, and we got some really good tailwinds there across our gardening business as well, off the back of that, which has helped our growth numbers.
Okay, so there's our first takeaway of the day. Learn to control the weather, and you'll print money.
Yeah, and I've only recently joined Woodie's this year, but I've never been as close to the weather ever. So now I'm like, we're fully in it, but it has really benefited our sales this year.
Yeah, I'm known as Captain Weather now among my friends because they're like, Pippa, what's the long-term forecast? I'm like, out with the phone straight away.
There you go, fantastic. Now, we have reviews throughout the year, every year, working together on what the next plans are going to be. And kind of something that stands out to me is that we always come back to that big company vision. You know, it's you know, every kind of slide deck always seems to start with that, you know, and particularly that vision of a Woody's customer in every home. You know, Pippa, how does that high-level vision like help guide the strategic direction that you're taking?
Yeah, I think what I loved about when I joined the Woody's business is we have a really clear vision, which is a Woody's customer in every home, and a really clear purpose, which is to help customers love where they live. And I think Woody's has been on a long journey. We're not just about selling as much product for as much margin as possible. We're really focused on that vision for the business. And what I also love is you ask any person in any of our stores or any of the support office, and they'll be able to tell you that vision and purpose. And it helps anchor our decision-making. It promotes long-term decision-making in the business as well, and even down to the way we choose the tech partners we work with. So, for example, JH, we look for partners that share that vision, that are strategically behind it. So it's a really important way we shape the way we look at the business.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I understand a lot of direction, you know, also comes from the company values as well. I know, you know, when we're preparing for this, you know, you were very clear saying, you know, even though we don't have that necessarily in the deck that we look at, that's really, really fundamental to the way that you operate day to day. Can you maybe just kind of unpack why they're so effective at Woody's?
Yeah, and I love that you guys wanted to talk about culture and values a little bit, because I think it's so much more important than often is thought about enough in leadership. So Woody's has a very clear set of 5 values that we live by. And what I love about them is the values were grassroots up. So I think a lot of the time you'll find in businesses, corporate values are derived and they're kind of pushed top down, and the language isn't quite the right language for the business. But the Woody's values were actually built grassroots up. So there was consultation across the entire business, and the words and the language that came out of them were very Woody's. And they've become almost like a set of code that we live by. And coming into Woody's, actually, I was astounded by just how embedded that culture is, and how important the culture is in Woody's. It's very awarded, actually, and very well recognized in the industry as well. So I think that's a huge part of how we live. And then because the values are so strong in the culture, you've got like great pieces of tech that we've put on there as well, like WorkVivo, which is our intranet for the teams. And like it's like Instagram on steroids. Everyone is posting on it, they're kudosing, they're engaging, and it just builds a real sense of community and momentum, and it's a great communication channel as well. So I think it's incredibly important to understand how you're living your values in your business.
Yeah, I think we love that there's going to be so many talks today touching on the tech, and we've had a few talks here about the customer, but then also that we're kind of bringing it back to the people at the businesses who are you know running these brands, running these stores as well. Now you touched a little bit on the history of Woody's as well there. You know, it's well established, well known in Ireland. You've built that reputation on the kind of quality of the service, the depth of expertise. You know, this very kind of consultative approach offered in the store. Does that factor into strategic decisions as well, like the need to kind of uphold that?
Yeah, I think it's really important for us. And one thing when I joined that the leadership team have a philosophy, which I loved as well, was that we're really privileged caretakers of the Woody's brand. So our role as the leadership team and senior management is to caretake that brand and make decisions for it that will help the brand far outlive us. And have a long-term roadmap. And I think, you know, our role also as a listed business is to create shareholder value. So it's really important that we make decisions that have that in our viewpoint as well. So, and the other thing that's really important in our business for both Amy and I is, you know, we have our departmental goals, which is digital and marketing, but we also have a really important focus on being department agnostic. So we have to make decisions that are to the benefit of all departments and not just the department we sit in. So I think those are 2 really important guides that we live by.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, you know, we've spoken just then about people, and I think underpinning your digital strategy, you know, a lot is that need to develop a high-performing team, and we've seen that in the last kind of 12 to 18 months. You've mentioned about, you know, you 2 joined the business. You know, Woody's have been really serious about investing in people, whether that's, you know, been hiring or upskilling. You know, Amy, let me ask you this. You know, so many other businesses have had to kind of cut their headcount, and it feels like for Woodie's, the strategic decision has been, no, we need the people in place. You know, why was that expansion in headcount and skills and whatnot necessary for your plans, do you think?
Yeah, I think at Woody's we're very fortunate in that we had best-in-class technology and great partners already in place. So when we looked at building out building out and strengthening our structures and our processes to get the most from that tech, building the right team was core to that. So we did expand our team, and we were very fortunate in that we actually expanded it within the Woody's business. So we added expertise across the commercial team or across the IT team to the digital team, but we also focused on the upskilling of existing team members, and then we also added specialized roles within the digital team too. So really our main ambition was to get the right team in place to get as much from our platform and our tech as possible.
Yeah, so there's no point having that tech if nobody can press the buttons.
Exactly, and it's really, like, I think a big core vision of ours is to sweat our platforms. We want to get as much as possible, but you do need the resource, and you need the right team members there, and you need the team to understand what their goal is. So yeah, building the team was fundamental.
I think it was interesting because Sue referred to it earlier in the earlier panel around focusing on the fundamentals, sort, search, nav, etc. And I think that's, you know, what Amy wanted to do when she put the team in place, like sweat what we have, really work that technology. So I think it's probably a theme we're seeing in a couple of other retailers.
Yeah. Now that's a little bit about the team that you two look after. Let's talk about yourselves as well. You know, you two have come into the business, you've had that chance to stamp your mark a bit there. You know, with those influential roles, how are you showing up to drive performance in the business and get those results we're seeing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think when we look at our leadership and our team, it's not just our immediate team, but it's also the wider business. And I think for me, being head of digital, but it's still in a very predominantly physical retail environment, it's very much from a digital side, it's about bridging teams and really engaging with stakeholders. And it's very important to make the store teams and enable the store teams to do more. So really what this involves is reaching out to the teams, understanding their needs, their wants, and as much as possible, avoid silo thinking. I think we really want to be in a position where the business sees the benefit of digital and they understand how digital can support their function. And then I actually think specifically for us, we launched a kitchen appointment booking last year. It was a very small one, but it was a really great way to get stakeholder buy-in, and stores could tangibly see how digital were driving their sales. And also our click and collect revenue, which is actually a very significant bit of our digital business, is actually attributed to our stores. So this really ensures our stores have skin in the game, and it underpins the collaboration between the physical and the digital channel.
Yeah, I like that idea of, you know, that shared success and the buy-in that you're building there. You know, moving on from that kind of like big vision stuff into actually kind of the plans we put together and execute together. You know, we look at a couple of different horizons. We look like 5 years down the line, like what are the big things we have to do? And then kind of 12 months is where we're kind of looking more at the projects. And, you know, I think that really helps kind of balance the long and short term investments. I think the other thing that really helps in there is the metrics that we're putting against stuff, the way that we're kind of weighing up the projects we, you know, choose to do and not to do, and how we prioritize those. You know, Amy, can you talk a little bit about the metrics you're looking at and how that weighs on your decisions?
Yeah, I think for us at Woody's, data is the lifeblood of any effective strategy. And so early on for us, it was our priority to get our data accurate, but also well organized. So this enabled us to make more data-led decisions. And as myself and Pippa were both new to the business, we really wanted to understand why we were doing what we were doing. And I think we also wanted to avoid the common pitfall I think happens a lot of retailers, is where they go by gut, and we didn't want that. We really wanted to explain and stand over our decisions. So really by digging deep into the data, we were able to actually identify that conversion was our greatest opportunity. So that has really shaped a lot of the decisions that we've made.
Yeah. And we, every time we get together, you know, those KPIs are kind of up as a little dashboard for us to have a look at the progress and again, kind of refocus us on, okay, so what next here? I like that. Now, the results we've heard, you know, and Pippa, you mentioned about how e-commerce is doing a little better overall. It suggests that we're doing roadmaps that are really packed with winning ideas. Amy, maybe if I come to you first, what's inspiring you there? Where are you finding those those opportunities to tackle?
Yeah, and I would say we have a very busy roadmap. We have the Woodie's team here today as well, and I would say everyone recognizes how busy and packed our roadmap is. But I think we have a very clear framework when it comes to our roadmap, and we really want initiatives that are impactful, that they drive revenue, and they create memorable, meaningful experiences. And we have a very clear 4 priorities across digital. There's 4 pillars that we actually work towards, which is product, experience, service, and omnichannel. So those 4 pillars are core to us, and then those pillars alongside our customer research, because we're actually very fortunate at Woodie's, we have very, very strong customer research. Those elements together is really what shapes our roadmap.
Yeah, and I know from that customer research, again, we're able to keep coming back to personas and go, what are the features that are really going to make a gain across those?
Yeah, and I think with our customer research as well, it identified 4 cohorts, but it really gives us confidence in who we're speaking to.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Now, Pippa, I said at the start that you guys are a market leader out there in Ireland, but even somebody who's leading the pack still has to kind of look over the shoulder and to stay there. How is the activity of competitors kind of influencing what you do?
That's a great question. Look, the Irish market, it's definitely getting more competitive, but I think we think that's a great thing, because a sign of new competition coming in means that we're in a really healthy market. It's a buoyant market. It's a market with good demand, so we actually love seeing competitors come in. We don't tend to look to our competitors for inspiration, because we're kind of catching up with them if we're doing that. But what we love to do is look at who's doing things really well in completely different industries. So, for example, we love the Nike app, and that's on our roadmap to do. And we love Spotify for personalization. We love Netflix for A/B testing. I'm actually nearly afraid to say that, because the JH guys have been literally on to us for about a year now to get our A/B testing roadmap up. So I know Nick, straight after this, is going to send me an email about A/B testing.
There you go.
But so really taking inspiration from who's doing a great job and how do we apply that to our business, and what's in that for our roadmap going forward.
Yeah, so definitely trying to take that best of breed. Now, I think maybe at this point it might be useful for us to get into some, real projects and, give everybody, some hard examples to kind of understand the real things we're doing. Amy, in Ireland, service proposition is really key. Can you maybe explain why that's mattering so much and the kind of things that we've done to, really make sure that you're putting that forward for customers?
Yeah, for anyone not familiar, the service proposition is more important than ever in the Irish market. It's nearly it comes up in every panel talk that we go to. And I think particularly with rising UK shipping costs, having a very strong proposition and faster fulfillment is crucial. And so this year we have gone after our dropship and our click and collect initiatives specifically. And through dropship, we really want to double down on having the best range in the Irish market. And through dropship, we've actually increased our product range 10% this year. And we actually look to double it in the next few years. And then through click and collect, just last month, we actually introduced our 4-hour click and collect proposition, which was a move on our existing same day proposition. And while these are like first initiatives on a wider strategy, they really reinforce our kind of commitment to building a very much a seamless, competitive, but most importantly, a local experience for our customers. And so service has been driving our roadmap this year.
Yeah, and particularly critical stuff there, part of that omnichannel pillar that we're looking to work on. Now also, once we've got that proposition in place, then we can start looking at the user experience on the site and evolve that. Can you give me, like a few of the projects there that stood out for you that have really kind of driven that improvement in what it is that customers can see and do online with you?
Yeah, and it has been, like I said, it's been a very busy year. It's been a packed roadmap. And I have to say as well, JH has been fantastic in working alongside us, and not just us, but our partners to get the best ideas live. And I think for us, what we wanted to look towards was getting our tech stack in a very good place and optimizing that. And I think it's come up in a lot of the conversations today as well, but honestly, it's getting the fundamentals right on site. So search, nav, and product have been core focuses for us. And specifically this year through Algolia, we actually introduced smarter search on site. And then through Nosto as well, we introduced more personalized recommendations. We introduced 7 strategies this year, and we're looking to build that out. So the initiatives that we've really brought to life are the ones that really do give a better experience to our customer, but they're also driving growth in terms of revenue and engagement as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
I would
Anything you want to add there, Pippa?
Expanding Rex has been really a real success for the team this year. And it's such low-hanging fruit as well for the customer journey. And if you can get the right tech partner on board, it can be fairly quick and agile to do.
Yeah, it's been very much a game changer, I would say, because that personalization was something we really kind of trialed with, and that's been a great way to engage with the customers.
Fantastic. Now, we mentioned about the team earlier. The roadmap isn't just about things that we can do for the customer, it's about things we can do for them. We want to be empowering them and streamlining their operations. What's been really transformational there?
Yeah, I would say with the team, it really comes down to culture, and there's trust within the team as well. And I think for us, what has been a game changer is adopting a lean and an agile approach. And this has involved reviewing ways of working, streamlining processes, but most importantly, building a culture of collaboration. This has really enabled the team to operate more efficiently and effectively, but very much so team underpins any successes that we do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know also earlier when we were talking about expanding the team, I mentioned upskilling there. And just to call back for a minute ago when we were talking about Nosto and Algolia, I know you guys are looking to put your team onto their kind of training programs and kind of university course things that they offer, so that as well as, say, coming to us to help with integration and some of the more kind of technical aspects, that we can obviously be empowering your team to, again, sweat the platform.
Definitely, right? And I think a fundamental kind of approach that we want to take is that we want team to self-serve, and Jay Hirsch are fantastic partners, but we want the team to feel confident in their understanding of our technology as well. We don't want to always have questions that we can't answer. We want to understand it. So like that, we think any education is very important, because you need to self-serve.
And I think it's really important for us. One of the big learnings is you can bring in great tech like Algolia, Nosto, etc., but you have to have team there to really drive it, and you have to be able to educate your team and train them, because a lot of these platforms will be good, but you really don't get the conversion movement until you really start working on the platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, throughout that, you've mentioned a few times the word partners and partnership there. And, again, I personally really believe that it matters not just what you build, but who you're building it with there. So, I think just to kind of wrap up today with the time we've got left, I'd like to kind of focus on that role that partnerships play in the success story, because, I know that's a relationship that we have, but I know there's plenty of other providers, we mentioned a few of them already today, who also kind of come in and offer stuff and help kind of level up the offering there. But I know you guys have obviously worked places beyond Woodie, so you've probably got a lot more experience to kind of help answer this in terms of getting an idea of what a good partnership looks like what a retailer should really expect. Maybe Amy, if I start with yourself, and then we can go to Pippa.
I would say we really seek out partners that are as ambitious as we are. We want partners to come with new ideas, new suggestions, but they want to move our business forward. And I think it's very important that strong partnerships is fundamental to any success. You need to work together well. And while we want partners to be very ambitious, we also do want to be challenged. We want them to come with recommendations and really challenge our thinking. And I think most importantly as well, we want partners to remain agile. I think a big part of partnership as well is celebrating the successes. Success is always shared, and I think having strong collaboration underpins any good relationship.
So it's not just, about the retros. It's about those wins as well.
Yeah, and I actually think maybe Jamie mentioned it in his opening speech there today as well, around celebrating the speakers. But there is, I think, a very important piece of any of the work that we do in celebrating your successes and taking time to acknowledge that, because there's so much work that goes into pieces that, you do need to take that as well and to have that for your team.
I mean, otherwise, those metrics we mentioned earlier, what are they there for? We reach them and then what? Pippa, what about yourself? What's a standout partnership look like for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. Amy answered it really well there as well. I think there's a couple of things that I love in partners as well is I like when partners want to hear our total business strategy, not just so if it's a digital partnership, they don't just want to know about our digital goals. I like when they want to hear about the complete business, because often I'll find that when we're going through that, they'll have ideas about areas that are maybe a little bit outside the box or outside of what we're looking at. And I like partners that want to know our challenges and our issues and that can support us on resolving them as well. So I think it's the same piece. I will pick a partner that's more hands-on. So not to say that we're needy in Woodies, but we will pick partners that have that availability for us for quarterly or monthly check-ins versus partners that don't, even maybe if the technology is even slightly better on the other partner, because it's just not something we need, that hands-on partnership. We're a small, lean team. We work hard, but we need partners that work with us. Yeah.
I mean, it feels to me like a key thing there is the availability, the access, and then just a simple thing of listening, of just listening to, like you say, the whole story of what's going on there to find the opportunity. I've got one last question just on this partnership thing. Assuming that you can have that rapport, you've got that good relationship, maybe you've got some good kind of one-to-one connections with the people there. What have you found to be those kind of touch points in terms of the activities you do or the kind of communications that really create that opportunity to add strategic value? What are the ones that really work for you guys?
I think it's really important to have your QBRs. The JH guys are flat out flying over to Ireland to do them. I think you guys enjoy coming over, hopefully. But I actually think in-person check-ins are really important. Having those check-ins where you look at where you're going, your performance, anything that's changed in your goals or your roadmaps, any new issues that you've had coming up as a business. I think having those regularly are really important to keep that strategic vision in place and where we're working towards and to align on that. And I just think they have to be in person as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would probably echo what Pippa just mentioned on the last question, but it is the visibility, it's the strategic alignment. I think that really is what's going to move your partnerships forward, and really your partner understanding where you want to get to, what is your ambition, not just the short term, that long term. I think that alignment is crucial.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. That's all I've got for today. We've, going to be the first people today, finishing a little bit early, but there's nothing wrong with that.
We are very efficient at
everybody gives everybody the opportunity to maybe grab you in the break that's about to come up and dig a little bit deeper than we managed to do with the half hour we've had today. So can I just ask you all, give you a big round of applause, please, to Pippa and Amy.